Have you ever wondered what happens to all those cardboard boxes we throw away every day? Although they seem like simple waste, behind them lies one of the most impressive recycling chains in the world. Millions of tons of cardboard are collected, shredded, transformed into pulp, and then converted back into strong sheets that return to industry as brand new products. Today you're going to discover how this gigantic machine works, giving a second life to a material essential to global trade. Every year the United States discards truly immense quantities of paper and cardboard. More than 110 million tons end up in waste management systems. This colossal volume presents a constant challenge for cities, waste collection companies, and of course for the rapidly depleted natural resources. However, amidst this overwhelming situation, there is good news. Unlike many plastics, cardboard has the capacity to regenerate itself multiple times. What was once an abandoned box can become raw material again the next. This material can be collected, shredded, mixed with water, cleaned, refined and transformed into new sheets of paper, ready to return to the commercial circuit. When a ton of cardboard is reprocessed and not manufactured from new wood, something surprising happens. Around 17 trees remain, more than 26,000 litres of water are saved, and the emission of almost 1 ton of CO2 is avoided. In other words, each bale of recycled cardboard is not only transformed into a box, it also represents a considerable benefit to the environment. Furthermore, cardboard can be reborn many times. A sheet of cardboard can be recycled 5, 6, or even 7 times before its fibers deteriorate too much and lose their strength. And when they finally become too short and weak, they can still be incorporated into products that require less structural strength, such as certain types of tissue paper or industrial materials. Each box, after fulfilling its initial purpose, protecting, transporting, storing, begins a new journey back to the recycling plant. There, a completely different process begins, full of technology, heavy machinery, and rigorously controlled steps. At home, the process is usually simple. People flatten the boxes, bundle them, and leave them ready for collection. But in places where the volume is enormous, such as supermarkets, large warehouses, or distribution centers, the cardboard is compacted using powerful hydraulic presses that create perfectly square bales. This makes both storage and transport easier. Thousands of these compressed blocks leave each day bound for different sorting centers. When the trucks arrive at the plant, the collection phase ends and the inspection phase begins. The bales are unloaded by forklift or conveyor belt systems and arrive at the receiving area, where each batch is weighed, recorded, and carefully inspected. Optical sensors, assisted by human operators, detect contaminants that could spoil the resulting pulp. Plastic tapes, staples, nylon remnants, excessive humidity, or oil and grease stains. Any load that is too dirty or damp is immediately separated, as it could compromise the entire recycled batch. Materials that pass the initial quality control are sorted by type: brown corrugated board, flat board, printed packaging, or mixed materials. This initial sorting largely determines the final destination of the recycled paper. Once the bales pass the initial inspection, they are sent to the next key point in the process, the hydropulper. This is an enormous industrial container capable of holding tens of thousands of liters of water. There, each block of compacted cardboard is placed directly into the tank, where it begins to disintegrate. To achieve this, the mixture is diluted to an extremely low concentration. Only 1% to 2% is fiber, while the rest is water. This proportion is crucial, as it allows the cellulose fibers to separate without resistance and disperse homogeneously throughout the mixture. Inside the hydropulper, large rotors spin at very high speeds, generating intense currents and eddies capable of breaking down the original structure of the cardboard. These turbulent movements loosen adhesive residue, eliminate hardened glues, and release impurities trapped between the layers. At the same time, inks, thin plastic coatings and varnishes are lifted from the fibers and carried by the water flow, either to the surface or to downstream separation systems. The immediate result of this process is a dense brown pulp with a slightly rough texture, composed primarily of released fibers. Although this pulp forms the basis of the new material, it is still far from being usable paper. To achieve the necessary properties of strength, uniformity, and quality, The mixture must undergo further refining stages where it is adjusted, cleaned and conditioned much more precisely before continuing its journey through the recycling plant. For this mixture to become a strong material, it must pass through refining machines that use rotating discs and cutting bars. These machines comb, cut and open microscopic filaments called fibrils, which allow the fibers to bond more strongly during the paper-making stage. Because recycled fibers can shorten with each cycle, plants often add a proportion of virgin pulp made directly from wood. This restores softness, strength and rigidity. The final mixture varies depending on the type of cardboard being manufactured. The outer layers, which require a smoother surface, contain more virgin fiber, while the inner corrugated layer is usually made with a higher proportion of recycled fiber. Additives such as starch, sizing agents and resins are also incorporated into the pulp to improve water resistance and cohesion. Finally, this refined mixture becomes a uniform pulp, perfectly prepared for paper making. Once ready, the pulp is directed to the paper machine, a huge industrial line where the brown sludge begins to take shape. The material flows from giant pipes over a moving metal mesh. At first glance, it looks like a stream of mud, but it is actually filled with millions of cellulose fibers floating and intertwining. The water begins to drain rapidly through small openings in the mesh, while the lower rollers press down on the mixture, expelling more moisture and compacting the fibers. Gradually, the damp sheet begins to become more consistent and show a uniform surface. Advanced sensors constantly monitor the thickness, moisture and uniformity of the material to prevent breakage. The newly formed paper web then passes through pressing rollers that remove even more water, leaving it with sufficient initial strength to continue advancing. Although the material has already taken the form of a continuous sheet, it still retains a considerably high amount of water, much more than the proportion of solid fiber that composes it. For this reason, the web is conveyed to the drying section, a crucial stage in production. In this area, the sheet passes through a series of enormous metal cylinders heated internally with steam to temperatures exceeding 150 degrees Celsius. Constant contact with these rollers allows the moisture trapped in the paper's structure to evaporate gradually. The web advances at high speed along a long row of polished cylinders. Each time the paper's surface touches one of them, some of the water is removed. At the same time, ventilation systems distribute controlled currents of warm air, which help maintain a stable internal process temperature and prevent humidity fluctuations that could compromise the quality of the final product. Thanks to this combination of direct heat and air circulation, the paper's moisture content gradually decreases from levels exceeding 50% to around 5% or 7%, ideal for proceeding to the next manufacturing stages. This process must be executed with a very precise balance. It has to be fast enough not to slow down production, but also gentle enough to prevent warping, weakening or tearing of the sheet. If drying occurs unevenly or too abruptly, the paper could become brittle or develop irregularities. When the complete web finally leaves this section, it is completely dry with a stable texture, the appropriate strength, and ready to continue along the production line to the next stages. Once the sheet is completely dry and has acquired the necessary strength, it moves to the winding section, where another key stage of the process begins. In this part of the line, the enormous continuous web of paper is carefully wound onto gigantic industrial reels. Each of these rolls can exceed 3 meters in diameter and weigh several thousand kilograms, forming compact and perfectly aligned cylinders. These reels allow for efficient material handling, facilitating storage, transport, and distribution within the plant. Furthermore, they constitute the essential raw material that will later be used in the machines responsible for creating corrugated cardboard, the basis of most boxes used in the packaging sector. The next step is crucial, creating the wavy structure that characterizes corrugated cardboard. To do this, the paper is placed between 2 metal rollers with engraved channels, which rotate in opposite directions under high temperatures. As it passes between them, the flat sheet transforms into a series of perfectly spaced waves. This wavy shape increases vertical strength without adding weight, making it an ideal material for supporting loads during transport. With this process, the freshly manufactured paper becomes a resistant core, the basis of the cardboard we know. As soon as the corrugation forms, the sheet goes directly to the lamination stage, where an automated system applies a thin line of hot adhesive to the crests of the corrugations. The outer layers, known as liners, are then pressed together, one on top and one underneath, forming a triple reinforced structure. The resulting composition, 3 layers or even 5 in more robust products, passes through uniform pressure rollers that ensure proper adhesion between the layers. Then, fans and stabilizing rollers cool the structure until it reaches its final shape. Once the sheet of corrugated cardboard is ready, it moves to the cutting area. Here, enormous rotating blades make vertical cuts that define the flaps of the boxes. Further on, the creasing section scores fold lines so that the boxes can be folded correctly without breaking. Designs requiring special shapes, handles, ventilation holes, hinged lids, or curved forms, go through die-cutting machines. These use specific metal molds that, through pressure, cut out all the necessary geometry in a single operation. The leftover scraps are separated, and the resulting pieces are stacked with great precision, ready for their next stage. In many production lines, orders include logos, barcodes, handling instructions, or corporate images. This is achieved using flexographic printing presses that employ soft, raised rollers. The ink is distributed by a leveling blade called a doctor blade, ensuring a consistent print. The entire machine operates in sync to prevent smudges, skips, or registration errors. The ink is then dried using UV lamps or hot air, allowing the sheets to be handled without damaging them. Ultimately, each recycled box demonstrates that waste can be transformed back into valuable resources. Through massive processes of collection, sorting, pulping, refining, drying, corrugating, and forming, cardboard regains strength and reintegrates into the global supply chain. This continuous cycle not only reduces environmental impact, but also fuels an industry that transforms tons of waste into essential materials for modern commerce.